My phone recorded. Hey,
What's
what's
up? Hey,
going
hey,
on?
hey. All right.
Welcome to the distinguished meet and greet. Pardon me, I'm clearing my phone out. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. I'm hoping that a lot of our educator and leadership folks join us at some point in time. But if not, it's just you and me. That's quite okay.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm excited to I'm excited to be on here. Um, how was your day? How are you doing? You good?
I am well. I'm actually, I'm not going to say, too excited about coming back, but
Back to school. That's right.
but I am eager to start the school year. And so I'm excited to um, start the school year and get things jumping and ready to help our scholars, help our students succeed. So, yes.
So before I, jump into your business and your world in this in on this live, I guess I should talk to people about who I am, why we're doing this meet and greet, why distinguished, what is distinguished, where distinguished came from. So if you grant me a couple minutes, I will go ahead and do that. Um, my name is Beretta Lynn. I am a 27-year veteran in this educational environment, if you would say. I started as a teacher, science and technology teacher, actually. If we had to go back a few more stones, my background is in chemistry, and I worked in a hospital laboratory where I realized that that was not my calling. So I went ahead and realized, well, I'll teach the children. Um, and I started as a science teacher, and I loved the experience as a middle school science teacher. Um, but after a while, I realized I just wanted to know more and do more. Um, I was one of those employees or those teachers who needed to know everything about the job. I wasn't satisfied with just doing a lesson plan and teaching. I wanted to know, well, why are we picking this curriculum? Who chose this? Why are we doing this? Well, why these systems? I questioned everything. Um, and upon questioning everything, I realized eventually that the real work was outside of the classroom. So I set my path on what I needed to do to um, actually become an AP. I never wanted to become a principal. I never wanted to be a principal because I was in my mind. I thought principals were in meetings all day. I don't want to do that, right? I want to be on the ground. I want to make sure that teachers are delivering instruction. It's not only good for kids, but it's fun. Um, so long story short, went to school and met you along the way. When I went back, I went to school for leadership, and one of the things that we can definitely talk about in a couple minutes is how hard it is when you decide that you want to be a leader, and what that journey looks like when you decide you want to be a leader. But overall, I knew I wanted to continue to help teachers teach and leaders lead. So I joined a few outside programs to help me build my instructional capacity. I want to be joining Philly Plus, who taught me how to be a transformational leader. And from there, I started my actual leadership placement um, in a not only one building, I had to run two buildings actually at that time. So it really stretched my capacity for organization. Um, and then I left the district I was serving to go to a charter school to serve in leadership there. Um, and then I left charter and came back into the district. And it gave me a lens into both realms, right, in both worlds. Um, but either way, I realized that both in charter and in the district, leaders don't have enough time to cultivate and grow their teachers. You have a lot of teachers that continue to teach or to continue to stay in the classroom because no one's cultivating and growing them. And they have this want to know more. They have this want to be in different facets of leadership while they're still teaching. And a lot of times the leader just doesn't have time to give them to, to help them out. But that's the space I love, right? I love to watch teachers get their feet wet in leadership, and then start to build the lens between the view of a teacher and the view of a leader, and then watch it change and grow. So that's where Distinguished came about. I wanted to just make sure that I could continue to grow teachers that are already in the building, to leaders that they already are. And Distinguished came about, and I have been consulting and coaching um, and supporting leaders and teacher leaders for a little bit now. But I decided to go virtual, if you will, or social media wise, so that I could touch more people, and grow more people with my content. So that was is a quick summation of myself, my background, and who I am as a leader, and why I created Distinguished.
So can you tell us why the word distinguished? Why distinguished?
Of course. You know, to me, the your when you pick a word for your company, or you think about branching out on your own, and you decide what's this word going to be. um, I remember talking to another leader. She's a new leader, as a matter of fact, who worked I'm not gonna say under me, but she worked with me before she moved into her leadership in DC. um, she When I was coming up with a whole bunch of names, oh, it should be this, it should be that, she said, pick something that speaks for itself. Pick something that basically, in one word, names what you want your company to do and be. And one day I was looking at the old faithful rubric of Danielson, um, about to do a formal for a teacher. And I kept, as I was coaching them, I kept saying, you need to look at the component of distinguished, so you can make sure that's where you are working backwards from. You need to, we all want to be distinguished. We all want to such distinguished. And as I kept saying it, I said, of course, as leaders, as teachers, as we all want to be not just simply in a rubric, but we want to be distinguished. So um, that's where distinguished came from. It has served me. It will serve me in my merch. So stay tuned for that. Um, so yeah, that's where Distinguished Educational Consultant Group got its name.
Awesome. Um, with that, can you tell us what distinguished does? Everyone says, "Oh, distinguished education consulting group," and there are so many consulting groups out there. But what do you do? And really, what makes you distinguish amongst all the other I don't want to say competitors, but educational
Right.
competitors out there? Um, yeah, elaborate a little bit on that.
So no shade to any of the other consulting groups. I don't know them all. Um, but I think one of the things that I know that I want to make sure that my company sets apart is authenticity. Um, you know, when I work with teachers, leaders, when I work with companies, I will tell you the hard truth. I will always be transparent, and I will always likely say what you're not paying me to say, so to speak. That, and I am definitely a hands-on person. The coaching, the master classes that I do, um, the one-on-one consulting. I'm in the trenches. There's no virtual. If I'm working with a teacher, one of the first things after I do the initial consultant meeting is I'm coming to the classroom, right? I'm going to see what it is, where we're setting goals, where I'm making sure action steps are done. Is it hard? Yes, because I still have a full-time job as an administrator. Um, if you're doing lesson plans and they're not good, I'm not going to lie to you. But the thing is, we're always going to work to become distinguished. And I will tell you the truth that it's going to take a while. Um, so, again, I can't talk about what other people do versus what I do because I don't know all they do. But at the very at the very heart of it, you're going to get an authentic leader who grows you to be a transformational, instructional leader. And I'm going to do it with a hands-on approach.
Absolutely, and I can speak to that. um, so for all those who are on or will be on or will watch, later on with this virtual meet and greet, I can personally speak to the one-on-one coaching with Distinguished. I can speak to the fact that it was very honest and it was very transparent, and it wasn't it was I will say it was brutally honest, but in a nice way, to push you. Well, it actually pushed me to the place where I wanted to be. Also to be transparent, with that coaching and with that help. This year I'm actually in two leadership programs, with my employer. So I want to say that Distinguished does what it does, right? It does its thing. Beretta definitely is that one-on-one coach, and we definitely uh pulled out those different processes. We definitely pulled out those key or buzzwords and what does that mean. And when I didn't understand a particular terminology or a particular phrase, she definitely broke it down. She made me understand it. Definitely have notes on top of notes to speak to that. So as I was saying, definitely want to speak to that one-on-one coaching that is very, very honest and is very, very transparent, because it was times that I, had a whole paragraph and it was nope. So I'm like, oh
I
my.
don't know if it was like I know it might have been. See, the other thing about me as a coach and distinguished is I make facial expressions. I'm a facial expressions person. Um, some people say, let me not even get it. I was going to say, especially as Black women, but I mean that's a tale for another time. Um, I make facial expressions, so I'm just like, um, let's not use that. Let's think about using it a different way. Um, but yeah, I don't believe in sugarcoating if you're going to grow. Um, and if I can just, lean into, like, while you were talking, I was thinking about the other 16 members of my leadership team currently, um, that I'm going to say are fortunate enough to have me on a regular basis. And hopefully through these lives, I'll invite some of them on. Maybe we'll do like a whole leadership team meet and greet at some particular time. But um, in, in, in the majority of spaces, especially educational spaces, when you're receiving coaching or when you're receiving professional development or professional learning or training or whatever you want to call it, it's a lot of times it's in a group setting and it is not tailored to everybody's individual need. And um, the other, I guess I would say the other thing I've learned to do is look through the cracks and identify who needs what. So in my leadership team, I have some people who have their administrative cert already. I have some who are working for their administrative cert. I have some who have been in coaching for a while. But even in that, they still get coached, right? There's still a level of continuous growth and continuous learning that every member who either is a leader, trying to be a leader, moving toward leadership, should always know that there's always spaces where they can grow. Um, and once you identify the place where you can grow, a lot of people, a lot of people that I find, especially those that I coach, they want to grow distinguished in the area where they're already doing well. So I will always pull out, well, where are you not doing well? And that's where I want to start, right? Because you did well and you got there on your own. Let's dig up the dirty one and let's massage the dirty one, so that um, everything is distinguished, right? Because a lot of times the one that's dirty, and I'm going to say this to those who are watching, because she agreed, Evans agreed to come on here with me. Data is her dirty one, right? Uh,
That
I'm just saying,
I mean, we're gonna be transparent. Data gives me heart palpitations. Can I read it? Yeah, but like
right.
OMG.
Absolutely. So these are things that once I know, um I will lean in and coach Evans around it, but not in the sense that we'd sit one on one and I'd say, "Oh, look at this piece of data and I want you to analyze it for me and then tell me the next steps," right? That's called a performance task. Everybody can do a performance task, but what I would ask Evans to do, and what I will be asking Evans to do with her coaching work, is she will teach teachers how to read data, right? And then they will set up their small groups using that data. And then they will progress monitor that data to do responsive teaching in the groups week by week. So I will coach Evans to coach teachers. So when you sit in front of teachers, first of all, teachers are a rough bunch, right? Educators are a rough bunch. You can't be in front of an educator and not know what you're saying, right? So the way I will support Evans is I will coach her to make sure when she steps in front of teachers, she knows what she's talking about and she's solid. Giving someone a performance task is a cut and dry, right? But she's gonna have to analyze and then work through with teachers who feel the same way about data that she does. Most teachers and most people, when they look at school data or when they talk about school data, they are like, I don't want none of that. But that's my jam. I love data. I love instruction and I love data. So um, I will put her in situations where she's uncomfortable. I will probe while she's uncomfortable. I will look for her, as I often do. I will look for people's frustration signs, because when someone starts shaking their leg or when they start scratching, I know I hit it right. We there, right? We right there, and then
Here.
we're gonna massage it, and but she'll come out better for it and more and definitely more secure, um, because leadership requires a level of security that I've never experienced before ever in my life. And I guess, at some point in time, depending on what we talk about, we'll touch on what it's like to be an administrator and all that kind of stuff. But we want to, for the most part, let's try to keep it light. But, I like to have fun. So um, I'm a fun administrator, right? Like a lot of people come in and say, I never met an administrator like you. My principal never looked like you when I was young. My principal never acted like you when I said, well, it's a new day.
It's a new day.
It's a
Okay.
new day and a new dawn.
But I definitely wanted to, what you said was absolutely correct. And I think some of the things that we can pull out is, definitely with that one-on-one coaching, you're going to focus on the weak link or the deficit or the area that needs that extra push and that extra growth. Because when you're standing in front of educators, whether they're first year or veterans, you have to be solid um,
Mhm.
in all areas, whether it is the operations component, whether it's climate and culture, or if it's data. And so, with that coaching, um, listeners, you will definitely be stretched to an uncomfortable place. But again, as we heard at the principal convening last year at the no last week at the table,
Mhm.
that pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
So is good to be in the pressure seat, so that you can grow and you can obtain what you need to be that leader. Yeah. So I know I'm excited for the next, and like I said. that coaching that I got from you, what last year
Yeah.
towards mid-year, the fact that this year I'm going into programs with my employer, again, speaks volumes to what Distinguished does.
Hmm.
And those two programs speaks to leadership positions. One program speaks to teacher leaders, and the other program is a pilot program for assistant principals and principals. So I'm excited to get
I
into
mean,
it.
I one of the things I never wanted to do is, sometimes I see consulting groups, whether it's education or whatever it is, and they have these guarantees, right? Like, if you work with me, I guarantee this, and I guarantee this thing and that thing. And I
Right.
thought about saying it, right? I thought about saying 6 weeks with me, and I guarantee this and guarantee that. And I'm still um I still think about it often, but I feel like if I guarantee a certain space after 6 weeks, then you can't go beyond that space, right? I
Right.
don't want to guarantee anything. I want wherever it leads and wherever we go to for us to get there. Um, and what I have seen with a lot of the other some of the other people that I coach, I coach a few groups as well as some leadership groups as well as individual people, and we started with one thought, right? Like, oh, I want to, I'm going to coach them around systems, implementing systems, and then setting metrics around the making sure those systems are successful and can run minus you, right, without you.
Mhm.
But what came about was, again, transformational. If you're going to transform, you can't set a bar, like you can't set a bar somewhere. You have to take the lid off and allow all the things that are expected to come out as you begin to coach. So I have watched those who have sat in a seat of coaching for years and said, you know what, I just want to brush up on X, Y, and Z. And when we got started, they have realized that, they need a lot more support than they originally thought. So um, I'm excited about, my team. I don't know if my team is excited. I mean, my team is excited. They're probably very anxious because my expectations are high. Um, but they're because the better you do, the better a teacher does, the better our students do, right? So everything is always about student outcomes. And if I don't push, then you won't push. Because here's the thing, you're going to push your teachers because you know that you have to come back and I'm going to push you. Like, there's a nice domino effect. Some of my leadership team members who coach, they're like, listen, they'll say to their teachers, listen, I need you to do this. I really need you to do this because I have a meeting with her tomorrow. And she's going to ask me what happened and the metrics and blah, blah, blah. Or she's going to come into this room. So I need you, like, I'm begging you at this point, please do it. Um, so I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I love the work that we do. I love watching them become frustrated. I love um, the frustration and then the aha moment that comes from the frustration. Um, it's a beautiful thing to then watch them turn around and coach somebody else um, the same way they've been coached. And I've been seeing that more and more over the last couple of years. When I check back in with people, I see how they have distributed leadership amongst the people they're working with, and how they're speaking the same language, and how the vision is shared, and how the power is shared. And I'm just like, wow, wow, we did that together.
Awesome. So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Because I
What
keep talking. You know me, I'm a talker. I'll just keep talking.
so what would you tell the teacher who is looking, and I'm speaking from my own vantage point, right? So we're my journey, what would you tell the teacher who wants to be at the school leader or the school leadership level, and they continue um, to get the no's, or they continue, or they may feel discouraged along the way with the journey, right? Um, and I guess, and then in what ways can distinguished help with that? Because again, to be transparent, I was one of those persons who had the passion but always kept getting the no until I made the adjustment, but also combined it with um, professional expertise. So what would you tell that educator or that teacher that is kind of sitting in the same seat? And again, I'm not where, I know I'm on the trajectory, but
Mm-hmm.
there are people who want to get to a place, but they keep getting the no's, or they keep getting um I don't want to use the word the runaround. What are some things that you could say to encourage them,
Mm-hmm.
or what can Distinguish do to help them get on the track of professional growth and development?
Um, so I'm going to answer the first part first. Now, this is part of my transparent side. Some organizations just have a level of, dare we say, use the word runaround, or some organizations just have their way of hiring, right? Or their way of, or their way of how they think someone should move through the system. Um, and I just know that to be true myself. Like, depending on, what you've taught, or what what district you've been in, or what how many different schools have you actually worked at. There are some organizations that already have a filter they're going to put you through when you start. So the first thing I would say is just know that sometimes it's not you, right? And I think that, you know when, especially when it came to my work with you, that was very important to know it's not you. Sometimes, I mean, because there was a lot of times where I knew I was ready and I knew I was worthy, but it just, that there were hoops that I was unwilling to jump through. Um, so I had to know, okay, this is a process, but it's not me. So that's number one. Number two, I would also say grow in the wait. So while you're waiting, when you've heard that no, it's very easy to become bitter, and it's very easy to be in the space of blame, and the space of anger. But I would encourage you to, while most places, once it's once a year hiring, right? So once you get the no, go grow, right? Go back to the building and figure out or decide something that you don't know. Um, if you are an instructional person, if you have the instruction inside and out, learn systems, learn finance, learn culture and climate, learn SAC meetings, learn parent, learn political, learn the buckets that you don't know. And if you're not sure what buckets you know, go to the leadership rubric. There's a Pennsylvania leadership rubric where it has all different components. If you don't know those components, learn them while you're waiting for um, that next hoop you might have to jump through, or the next hiring cycle. But learn it. But here's the thing too: keep your anger, because that's gonna fire you up when it comes time for your interview. Be determined. Be be angry. Be on purpose. Um, so just make sure though that when you are interviewing, that you're also clear about what you do and don't know, right? Like, don't walk into the space talking about, I've been here for a while, I want to be a principal, and I've been in instruction for a while, but I don't know a thing about culture and climate. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
It was not.
I mean, and the thing is, it doesn't mean that they're not going to give you a job. It just means you're not going to be there long. Because if you can't control the culture and climate in your building, and I shouldn't use the word control because I don't like the word control, but if you don't have a handle on the culture and climate in your building, you will not be there long. You won't. Um, so, and then, dare I say, dare I get a little spiritual on us? If it ain't for you yet, it's not meant for you yet. Um, because I believe that it matters what district you work in. It matters what network or region that they put you in. It matters what school you work in, and it matters what people you work with and under and for. Um, I have seen people come and go, like spend their whole time to do this work, and then be placed in the wrong building with the wrong supervisor and the wrong staff and the wrong this and the wrong that, and next thing you know, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next in their life because they don't want to do this work. So just take everything as a lesson, and then and study, study. I mean, study. Like if I could, for sake of time, share my the journey that was my hiring. Um, I apply. I applied to be a principal or at least assistant principal multiple times. So I know that wall, right? And everybody kept saying you've only worked in one school. Not the fact that I had been in one building for I worked at one school for 17 years where I was a leader, a
Mhm.
led SAC, I did culture and climate, I did finance, I did like it didn't matter that I knew and did all the things. It just their thinking was you just only worked one place. And I'm like, yes, but I've also worked under multiple leaders who had multiple visions. So I had to shift and move multiple times. But for me, that was the hoop, right? You've only worked here. So I applied and I applied multiple times. And my knowledge always got me to selection. Like, there's this big day where, they're like, okay, you have to go in, you have to do a presentation and interview, like my knowledge got me through every step, every other step. But the last step was always where they got me because after that, it's just a decision.
Mhm.
And sometimes the decision is not based on your performance. It's based on, oh, but maybe because she's only been in one place, she doesn't really have the expertise and the knowledge to work in different buildings, blah blah blah. um so I remember, and it reminds me of a day that you and I had as well, where I had gotten to the last stage and I'm like, this is it. I did it. You know what I mean? I was for sure. No one could tell me. And I was getting ready for work and I got that email, and that heat came over like that heat rises up on you to always to your ears. And the emotion that comes with being denied was it wrecked me. I mean, I sobbed. Because it's like I know, I did well. I mean, I know it just came down to someone making a choice just not to give me the job. So, oh, I was angry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was upset.
Mhm.
Um, and so I did what most people do. I said, well, forget it. I'm going somewhere else, which I did. I left and went charter, and that did not go well as well. I mean, it was something different. I'm a district girl, so it was a lot to get used to. But I gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and what I realized is it wasn't that I needed more expertise and more knowledge. I needed a fire because
Mhm.
when I came back, when I came back, I walked with authority. Do you understand me? I remember, I down to me remembering what I wore. I remember we were sitting in the room with all the other candidates, and they were studying, looking over their notes, and I was sitting there like this. I never forget. I sat there, my arms crossed, like, "When's my turn?" Because I dare you to tell me that I ain't got this. So it was my turn. Went in there, had it, practiced, watched videos around giving effective feedback. I mean, girl, you could have told me nothing. Um, and it just so happens that there was another woman in there that was there before. Um, she was already a current principal, and I left. And even when I left, I walked out like I just wait for my call. But underneath, I was a little like because I had been here before.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell it was a little different for me. It was the knowledge was now met with the confidence. You know, it was like, you know, I could run a building. So um when I got the email that I had um that I was now in the principal pool and I could select a school, um I had later on talked to a person in HR, and she was like, you know, you had a perfect score. And she was like, what? And I said, oh, okay. She's like, the knowledge wasn't the difference. She's like, you commanded your space. And that's what leaders do. They command the space. And it was just my time. I also it just was my time as well. So um, I would tell teachers that you're going to hear a no, but just let it build your confidence. Let it just build you up. Let it just set your track. Let it just identify the stuff that you still need. Um, and then if you need support and help with identifying, okay, this is the support I need, and I hate to say it like this, and my administrator won't help me, or my administrator doesn't have time to cultivate that space in me, then you contact Distinguished, and that's the work I will do. Because if I need to say it again in transparency, sometimes the leaders that you work under don't want to see you win either. And I mean, I'm pausing that fact. Sometimes the leader that you work under don't want to see you win either. So sometimes you're going to have to reach
Say one more time for the people in the
to the people in the stands. To the people.
I'm not trying to be, I'm trying to hold my churchy together. But if you can time for the people in the back.
Sometimes the leader does not want to see you win either, because so, what teacher leaders do, and what those who are wanting to be in leadership, what we tend to do is we tend to carry the building. We tend to take on a lot of the professional learning communities. We do the professional developments. We have good relations with the parents. We a lot of times lighten the load of the administrator that's there, and sometimes because of that, they don't want to see you. Not saying they don't want to see you win. I mean, let's just some don't want to see you win just because they don't want to, but others sometimes, if you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? Like especially if they're not able to afford an assistant principal, then that's you. So when as soon as you tell somebody, oh, I'm going to be a principal, I'm going to go try to be a principal, you'll see them shift. You'll see them. You are, and then all of a sudden you're like, but it's not good enough. I'm doing it here. Why can't I do it somewhere else? But in that space, you would call Distinguished. You would call myself. And one day I'm going to say one of my team. But we would get you right. Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely. I would agree with all of it. I definitely um, love the part of growing while in the weights,
Mhm.
and learning those components. Learning, well, you call them buckets, and I call them components.
Yeah.
Learning those components that you are not 100% solid in, and so I felt that not just for myself, but I feel for other teachers or other teachers who are aspiring to be leaders. Um, Sometimes you can just be one track.
Mm.
And sometimes you can have your blinders on like a horse, and in a race you can just have your blinders on. But to be a leader, you kind of gotta know the different facets and the different components.
You
Um,
gotta know it all.
you
I mean,
gotta you gotta
I
know.
mean, actually, let me. I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to be. I just want to make a statement and be a little more clear about that. You don't have to know 100% of everything, but you have to know enough
Mhm.
about the things that you don't know enough about. So myself, I'm instruction through and through, culture and climate. I wish these kids would, right? Um, Parents, hey mom, hey dad, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's all. Got tier one, tier two, tier three, right?
Triangle.
Inverted. But special ed is not my thing. Special ed law is not my thing. IEP goals, not my thing. But I know you have to know enough. When you know something's not your thing, know enough so that you can find another person and allow them to distribute your leadership to them and trust them enough so that you can admittedly say, that's not my thing. I need you to go talk to my special education liaison and
Mhm.
be okay with saying that. I know enough to know she knows what she's doing because guess what? I don't got a lawsuit. So,
Thanks.
um, so yeah, you don't have to know 100% about everything, but know the things that you don't know enough to distribute the leadership to someone who does know. So, um,
Well, no, I was talking about, no, you're absolutely correct, but I was also talking about someone who's in the position of a teacher and you keep hearing the no, and
right.
then the growing within the weight. So
Mm,
I may be solid in one area, but
okay.
let me go back to the, like you said, going back to the building and learning those other areas where I
Yeah.
may not be as solid. So that's what I was talking
Yeah.
about.
And don't be afraid to ask,
Mhm.
right? Like, again, you know, I don't even know where to start with this, but um, if it comes to budget, ask.
Mm.
Ask the budget season if you know that your administrator, your principal is in budget season. If you know them closely enough, or even say, hey, when budget season comes, can I learn it? um what do I need to know? What should I know? I was a person who did everything. I learned to do everything, to taking attendance in the computer when the secretary was out, filing paperwork. Like I learned to do everything just to cover my bases. And yeah, when you become a leader, you don't necessarily have to do everything, but now you know enough to know it ain't done right. Right? Like, but sometimes, like, just the transition to being a principal is hard. It
Mhm.
is hard in ways that I'd never thought it would be. I thought that, again, principals sat in meetings all day, so I would just be bored as a leader. But a leader who really wants to see students achieve is in the work. And it can feel a lot like you are swimming upstream on a heavy tide. It feels sometimes like no one else is with you. It can be, if you don't surround yourself with a good team, it can be very lonely.
Mhm.
Your team will, your team, your teachers, your school will want a very particular thing, or they want to do a particular thing, or whatever. But the only person that's held accountable is you. Um, so so I remember my first year. I swear, the first 6 months, I was like, I hate this job. I was like, I hate this job. I was like, what have I been spending my time getting? I hate this job. I hated it. And I mean, I hated it. I'm going to say, for all those who want to get leadership, please just understand it was the first 6 months that I hated the job. And I hated it because I had a vision of what it was supposed to be in my head. I had this idea of, you know, when I think about it, I think about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, when all the Oompa are singing and everybody's like happy and having a good time. Like, that's, I swear to God, I thought those were my children. My children are singing and they're dancing around a chocolate river, and everybody's hugging and everybody loves each other because everybody wants to see each other win. Swear to God, that's what I thought it was. Because I was arrogant enough to think that everybody else was doing it wrong. So my arrogance slapped me in the face because I was like, oh no, bitch. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. We may cuss a couple times on here. Oh no, you are going to have to work. Like you're going to have to work. And then I was like, oh, dang. They don't come happy, right? Like I got to come here and make them happy. Oh no. Oh, the teachers ain't happy. I got to make them happy too. It was a lot. I was like, oh my goodness. And then on top of that, I had no secretary, I had no nurse. I had like there was a lot of things that were happening. And I was just like, I don't know how to do payroll. I don't remember how to do attendance. Like I don't remember how to do any of this. So it was yeah, it was a trying time. But when you surround yourself with really good people who keep you on track to making sure those people are happy, after that 6 months, I've loved my job and love it every day, even more than the day before. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we are going to kind of put a little bow on it, wrap it up. So, what are some of your to wrap it up? What are what would be your 60 seconds, your elevator pitch
Oh boy.
of why should um a teacher or a school admin come and join? Um, what I know we talked about it a little bit more um, in the start of the broadcast,
Yeah.
but sometimes people may go all the way to the end just to see, okay, what's going to be said at the recap. So what would be your what is your line? What would be your line?
I will try to keep it to a line, but I'm gonna try to keep it to a line. Um, I would just say that at the end of the day, we are in leaders and teachers are in a space that unlike anybody else. We are responsible for the growth, the well-being, and the future of children. Um, and we don't have the privilege to not continue our growth and our learning to make sure that they succeed generations after generations, as well as prepare them to use the power of their voice to remove systemic racism and barriers from their lives. So if you are at a place where you have a bucket or area of your leadership that you need to grow in order to make sure that those things happen for students, then make sure you become distinguished.
All right, there it is. Where can people find you? Where can people find Distinguished? Which social media platforms?
We're at Distinguished ED on Instagram. We are at Distinguished ED on Facebook. I did just start a new YouTube channel on YouTube. I am becoming distinguished. And I'm still working on TikTok and threads, but likely they'll be under the same Distinguished ED um, name or title. So, and then of course, www.distinguishededucationalconsultinggroup.com.
All right. So
Thank you.
that is so great. And again, you can find her on all of the platforms that she just mentioned. And as you can tell, I've been pushing and promoting. So let's
Thank
go,
you. Right.
let's go. And so again, please feel free to share any type of content, promotional content on Distinguished page and outlets. So again,
Absolutely. And I'll post this on my Instagram. I mean, on my YouTube.
all
So
right.
you can watch it. Thank you so much. It was fun. Please stay tuned. I will be going live with a few other of my colleagues. I will always invite Evans in because, she's the social media girly. But we'll see you soon. And thank you for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.